Hello, Tommy. I'm very glad to have you as a guest in my I Am series of interview. Welcome. It's a beautiful, shiny day where you are speaking from in your town. I invite you, our listener, to have an open mind and an open heart for what is coming to you from Tommy. And if you find something really insightful, something that is useful in your lives, and you can take it and apply it, please do so. And also click the link in the description and donate a small amount of money for the hospitals in Romania which are in need. Tommy, I will start by asking you to define what you do and who you are very quickly in 30 seconds.
What I do is I focus on awakening sovereignty within individuals and within community. And I do that according to the concept called collective sovereignty, which gives us all this mutual support to work together as a community to awaken each other's potential and desires and passions, and to give us each other the courage and strength to pursue any dream or desire that we have through our own sovereignty expressed.
Beautiful mission. How does a person that has got to this point of being awakened to his potential look like?
Could you repeat the question, please?
How does someone who has awakened to his full potential look like? How does he act? What does he do in his life?
So a person who is awakened to their personal sovereignty is confident, doubts nothing about themselves and what they're expressing into the world and what they're projecting into the world. Nobody can lead them astray from their purpose anymore. They are just safe and secure in who they are, and expressing that authenticity. And they have no doubt, they have no issues with gaining resources either, because of this transition in their perception, which once created what I call the fallen reality or the degenerative reality. When one is awakened, all seems to flow, all seems to attract effortlessly to them now. All seems to be created by their new perception, because of this awakened sovereignty within them. And so resources, attraction of partners, organizations begin to form. Everything just becomes more prosperous for them.
And how can we reach this point? Is it possible to be like this from the moment of your birth? Or is it a process of acquiring it like a skill, let's say?
So those are two different answers I'll give. I believe every child is born with this. We can all witness to this as children, being dreamers and imaginative and actors and just so happy. And, we're born with this in it, sovereignty, my children, they defend their sovereignty and their autonomous decisions and their free will. And, what happens, from that, we are born with it, and it depends on the family that one's brought up in, if that's nurtured and kept and guarded. But what happens in, average society is that the way parenting has evolved, for the most part, has destroyed that, and has suppressed that natural nature of a child. And so then it becomes a skill later on that we have to develop. And so we have to go through a process, again, to refine ourselves, rediscover ourselves, dig deep in, to do self-realizations, self-actualizations, just go through this whole self-empowerment and awakening that we call it. Many people call it the awakening, and they begin to find out what they really want to do and start reprogramming, the subconscious and how it was so controlled based on the upbringing that most children and most teenagers go through. So it becomes something to develop, but I wouldn't say that it has to be necessarily a skill. It's in all of our nature, you know, and it's just about us going back within and begin to inner engineer and reframe our perceptions and go through some different practices of meditation, basically, I have an awesome methodology that I use to help coach people to do this.
I know that you are a father of two. How are you parenting your child, or how do you intend to do it when they are a little, when they grow up a little bit, in order to have their potential activated, and to keep it active, and to give them the freedom of being authentic from child to adulthood?
So I already began the process even when they're a newborn, even when they're a child, you know, wanting to experiment and explore in the home, when they want to draw all over the walls, when they want to just be children, make messes and make, you know, and learn how to do stuff and learn how to do it on their own, you know, and what I do is I allow their position of autonomy to be basically fully expressed, and I guard them from any hazards, you know, that are there, but as I allow them to learn and I just stand by, they quickly learn the hazards and not what to stay away from, you know, because, you know, they're happier and, you know, that daddy's not, you know, doing anything to make them sad, you know, and they can be themselves, and they can fully express themselves, you know, and from there, you know, they don't have a problem with expressing their personalities. They don't have a problem with learning what they want to learn. They don't have a problem with joining me in any of the activities that I do, because they know that I allow them to partner with me, basically, that from there they just blossom. You know, my children have blossomed greatly, and they're only 3 and 5, and, you know, they've been able to teach themselves so many different things, from educational modules on technology, you know, and it's just from personal experience. And as they get older, though, you know, with their changes that they'll go through, what I plan to do, of course, is still support their every expression, support what they desire, encourage them to be themselves, to go after their dreams, and encourage them to not think about what other people say about them, no matter what, you know, and that all that matters that's being said about them is what daddy and mommy say. And so that's how I plan to protect their authenticity and their sovereignty in an environment where kids don't have that opportunity or privilege from their parents. And in return, I believe they will be a greater light to the children around them, and helping to send that energy, you know, interconnected between, you know, all of life.
Beautiful. When someone is authentic in all his form of expression, how do you think that influence the environment around him, the people around him, as an adult?
Yes, as an adult, when we begin to express our authenticity, you know, we help out so much. Basically, that's what I believe healers are. You know, you become a healer basically naturally. You're able to be fully emotionally coherent, which is basically a higher vibrational type energy of basically happiness, peace, joy. You know, this is this credible self-acceptance. And when you're becoming this authentic person, or individual, you affect others, you know, because whatever we are, you know, whatever we are in a state of being, we're affecting people on every level, no matter what. And so when we can become coherent, you know, within ourselves, which is basically just self-acceptance of who we are in our authentic, you know, version, then that naturally, begins to impact people around them. It makes people feel confident, makes people feel courageous. It makes people feel like it's possible. But when you don't see people being authentic, then they settle for less. They settle for what they call the real world, what they call, life, what they call nothing's going to change. They remain pessimistic. But when you got these leaders that step forward in their authenticity, that encourages so much. That gives so much power. Even if you don't even say nothing to them and you're just being that with that energy that you're carrying, that energy without any words is directly influencing people in your environment. It's directly influencing your community. And yes.
So is there connection between being congruent and overcoming fear, your own fears?
Could you rephrase the word for me?
Is it possible that when you become congruent, you are less fearful of what could happen to you, and you are more in control in general?
So congruent is that like saying when you're more connected with yourself, are you less fearful?
I don't know what do you mean by congruent. I will ask you to explain a little bit. For me, it has a connotation tied to depassing blockage, to aligning your values with your action.
Yep. Okay. Yes. So yes, when you're more congruent and connected basically with your heart, and your heart, of course, has to be nurtured and taken care of to become coherent, which is self-love, self-acceptance, self-respect, beginning to turn inwardly to honor yourself. When we're more congruent in this manner, we become basically fearless. You know what I mean? The fear that still resides there whenever we step into a new experience or a new venture or it's a new new anything that's unfamiliar to us. Fear arises naturally, but the more you maintain and nurture your heart, your congruence within yourselves, you become absolutely fearless. You don't, the energy that is within you through that congruence just takes you through life feeling safe and secure. That's what balance is within ourselves, with this interconnected self, interconnected self. So yeah, you basically, after really reflecting and turning inwards and taking care of your heart chakra, then you're very blessed with no fear. It doesn't even bother you no more, because the fear arises only because you're still working through those areas that you've been programmed to resist of yourself. Basically, it's not a resistance of your environment, but it's a resisting of yourself and who you are within that environment. So yeah.
So what are your methods of working with people for getting over their blockages and going into that coherent and congruent state? What would be the first steps, and how do you manage to maybe combine methods? Do you work with energy? Do you work with NLP? Do you coach? How would you proceed?
So for me, my background is 10 years in basically the world's spiritual traditions, and energy traditions and indigenous healing traditions. So what I have discovered through them all is what my methodology has been formed around, is that for a person, to answer your question, yes, I integrate my own form of NLP and my own form of energy medicine throughout all my practices that I've learned through the different cultures, you know, because that's part of my expression of sovereignty and authenticity. So I have my own methodology that helps with rapid transformation, you know, in individuals and rapid healing. So what happens though, what I do is I focus on stillness, and this is a common method of healing through all traditions. And it's about just being still, which basically simply is you taking time to just be present and just be, you know what I mean? And allowing your mind and your emotions to just rest and not be so active and so always wanting to do something in a beta state of mind. So what happens in that stillness when you're slowing down to just be still and just be, your body's now able to calm down, you know, and that's integrated with breathing. You know, some people will do breath work with it, which is important, but it's not an absolute necessity. You know what I mean? Because before I knew about breathing, breath work, and, you know, controlling my breath, I was transforming and doing tons of miracles in my life, you know? So the stillness matter of just being still is very powerful. And when we allow ourselves to get into this mode of slowing down, it allows our body to have time to regenerate. It allows our body to have time to recover. It allows our body to enter into a place of rest, you know? And from there, the body just begins to naturally, rapidly heal itself through stillness. And then from there, all the amazing inspirations, intuition, creativity that you have within yourself already, that's not activated, you know, because it's been suppressed, that stillness allows your body to now awaken. And so that's why religions and culture, spiritual traditions and healing traditions are so powerful, is because that concept, you know, that many people will say, be still and trust God. The idea is just being still, you know what I mean? And as you be still, all the God conscience, all the universe, or whatever concept you use, begins to be able to take care of you in its fullest capacity. And there's nothing that you need to really overthink or you know, think about now, because it all begins to come to you in that state of stillness. And so with that combined, you know, that regeneration that begins to happen, you know, you can combine that with fasting, which is what I do. You know, I do a lot of fasting. And so all that fasting does for your body now is begins to regenerate your cells, begins to regenerate your immune system. It regenerates your organs, it regenerates your brains, you know, mental coherence, everything, you know, begins to regenerate there. And it's just the body's natural way. What happens is it activates stem cells. Your body does, which is the way the body repairs itself and renews itself and leads through this whole regeneration process that also happens through stillness. So those two combined are two powerful methods that I use before doing positive affirmations, before doing subliminals, before doing sound therapy. And yes, sound therapy reinforces the stillness. You know, it helps your body to resonate with new energy frequencies, but the stillness and the fasting, you know, are very huge principles that are passed down, you know, that are just phenomenal for any healer, you know, for any miracle worker, for any person that wants to go through a very powerful inner rapid transformation process. And then the stillness leads into your own self-affirmations. You know, you begin to find out who you are through this process. And so it's not necessarily that you want to begin with positive affirmations, but if you start with the stillness and the fasting, those positive affirmations will naturally come because of the energy frequencies that you begin to vibrate higher to. So that's the idea behind it. And so everything becomes it's a natural regenerative process.
And this spiritual taking of things, I know you use into your facilitating groups coming to the oneness and all the spiritual techniques, how can you take them and apply it into business?
So for business, what we do with a oneness is we begin to first, we have to become who we are, you know what I mean? Because who you attract in business, what companies you attract, what type of CEOs you attract, what type of management, everything that you're attracting is based on where you are in the current state of your subconscious and of your energy field, you know? So what first needs to happen is you take care of you within yourself. And as you begin to take care of you within yourself, you know, which is the whole idea of not looking outwardly, but looking inwardly, you know, for the change that you want to see outwardly. So it starts within the inner change. And as you begin to change yourself, you'll see where you'll see based on the connections of business opportunities that begin to come into your life. So in order to attract that dream job or that dream career, or just even the biggest fantasy out there that you have, you know, what many people have coined moonshot goals, is that you have to become authentic. You have to become sovereign within yourselves. And that is reflected in the opportunities that begin to come into your life, that you begin to receive into your life naturally, because that's just how the energy field works, you know, with us, you know. And as you become more aware of this, you'll see it. You'll see it every single day based on your mood, based on your emotions, based on whatever that you attract, you know. And so how we implement this further into business is first that's most important, to really attract the opportunities that you desire versus the opportunities that you hate so much and you despise. And so then when you get to this place of the organization that you want in your life, you know, which is the people, the co-workers, the associates, you know, you can begin to now, you know, these people are going to be already wanting to do what you're wanting to do, you know what I mean? Because they're reflecting your desires. And so you can now begin to reach out, you know, and begin to organize with them. You know, you begin to take the initiative to ask them, you know, seek out, you know, say your plan, put it out there, what you're doing, you know, and then those people out of the new attractions, you know, they begin to come into your life because they basically support and agree and have the same passion as you. But that passion in them became connected to you because you first began to express it in yourself. You know what I mean? Hopefully that was reiterated and clear. If you have any questions to clarify it, you can go ahead and ask me.
I will go further from this point. I know you have an initiative of compassionate collaboration versus competition. Were you always a collaborator, or were there moments in your life when you were fond of competition?
That's a good question. I love that question. I am probably, I've not always been a collaborator. I have a strong intensity of competition within myself. You know, I always grew up being the best athlete and the best competitor and always wanted to be the super achiever, and nobody could be better than me. You know what I mean? I was the best and I had to be the best. And even if you were doing better than me, you still weren't better than me. You know what I mean? And I would still say I'm the best. And I had to win every competition, you know? So I was a very intense competitor in my life through everything, through organized fighting, through martial arts, through track and field, through sports, through academics, through just the list goes on, you know. So for me, yes, I've always been that way. Would you like to talk about my transition to being a collaborator?
Yes, or how are you at this point? Are you both? Are you
Now,
activating in different points your competitiveness and your collaboratory style, or how does it go?
So now, because of my transition, inwardly, I am an intense, now opposite, I'm an intense collaborator. It was a process, that I went through. It's literally, yeah, it's taken a while, it's taken a long while to get to the point where I'm at now, in this 10-year process of transition. But as an intense collaborator now, I don't think of myself, in terms of what I'm doing. Everything that I do is for basically humanity versus me trying to compete with the next person or become the best person now, or to have the best company or have the best mastermind network. It's not about any of that. You know what I mean? Yes, I want to improve myself, and yes, I want to improve my community, but it's as a whole now in my thought process versus just me being the better than you, in my community. No, in order to be better in myself now, my community has to be better. And so it's always selfless. It's always focused on the whole, now. And that's what I've been blessed, to behold now within myself, the space that I carry. And my mode of collaboration now is always finding out, what a person desires. I, as a coach, and as a community developer, I always focus on each individual, and seeing who they are, what they desire, what they want to become. And I put all of my heart into working with them with my energy work, and with guiding them through my practices that I've used myself. So yeah, it's the thing about, for me, for competition now, is that if I have any room of resonance with competition, I'm not fully feeling equipped to be the collaborator I desire to be, to open up this unity, this unity, this harmony, this this uh, this unity and harmony. Basically, I don't think not think I know I cannot do that if I'm competitive and looking through the lens of that area. As far as competition now, it's more towards just personal development and in helping others to develop themselves, which is what we always wanted to do when we're competitors. We wanted to achieve more. We wanted to become more skilled, and learn something new, educate ourselves. And so now it's just as a community. The structure is community minded.
Mm-hmm. I know you had a purple belt in martial arts. How was the experience of getting that belt? How was the process?
The process to get that belt is, with the practice I did, was Tai Chi, Yang Tai Chi, and then the Keijuzukai Aikido. Aikido was much easier. It's simple techniques I had to do to demonstrate. So that was really easy. I rapidly did that within a few months, because that's what I'm used to in fighting. I'm used to just show me a technique and and I'll do it, and I always remember it and I know how to apply it, and so that was my natural flow. Now, Yang Tai Chi was a whole new challenge for me, because it was using a whole new area of my brain. It was literally having me use the left side and the right side of my brain, and using simultaneous movements with my hands, with my feet, with my motions of my body, all at once. And so I quickly found out how uncoordinated I was, and how that was really difficult for my brain to remember, because it wasn't my natural way of being. And so, but quickly though, how I managed in that process was I applied my methodology, and I applied it, and I became always still. I always would relax my body in a Tai Chi, different ways they taught me in there too, just to relax into my chi. And whenever I get frustrated, when I couldn't remember a routine, because in Tai Chi, you don't do techniques. You do a whole series of 50 steps of routine you have to go through. And it's 48 to be exact, but yeah, you know, so you going through that process, you know, and you got to, you know, break it down, little segments of it to get through it. When I would get frustrated, I just go back to being relaxed, slow down and relax. And what happens for me is I wouldn't focus so much on having to get it down. Like, oh, I got to remember this. I got to get it down. I would get rid of that thinking and just trust in my subconscious, which is another theory of mine that is very powerful. But basically, I would just trust that all is and all that, you know, all will become. You know what I mean? And as I would do that, my mind, you know, would naturally rewire itself very rapidly to catch up. So all I would do now is I would observe my instructor. I would just do my best at that point in stillness, going through the routine. I wouldn't care to remember anything, because I allow my subconscious to do that for me. And then from there, you know, I would give myself literally, I wouldn't come to every class. I wouldn't come twice a week. I would literally come every other week. And the reason was because I was allowing my subconscious to do the work, to rewire itself based on its observations, based on what it's seen, you know what I mean? Based on, because your memory of your subconscious remembers 99% of everything. We consciously think we have to remember so much stuff, but if we begin to know the power of our subconscious and its memory storage ability, you know, we begin to powerfully rewire quickly with information. And so what happens is I just took my breaks. So one of the other best students, he achieved his first belt within 4 months, right? 4 months, and he was going excessively a lot, paying for private classes. I went within the 4 months, I went maybe 8 times, and I was able to achieve the first belt the fastest ever they've ever seen, ever. And they were just, you know, the teachers love it. You know, they've been doing it for a long time. They're 7 generational, you know, Tai Chi masters, and then Aikido was he was 9th degree black belt. So they were fascinated because they never seen it that fast, and it's all because of my personal practices that I applied to help me quickly rewire, and it's allowed the subconscious to take over.
Amazing. Tommy, what are your passion area where you can get lost and forget all about what's happening outside, forget about time, and deep diving?
Well, basically what I'm doing now is just speaking to people about how I support my journey, you know, in rapid transformation, and how in guiding them to take their steps to do the same. So when I get in this like this mode right here, this is my passion. You know, I love working with people in establishing their emotional coherence, establishing their power to heal, to be energy healers or workers, or, you know, just inspiring people to know their inner, you know, this inner potential that we all have. And it's not separate. It's not like you have these gifts, I have these gifts, you know. This specific thing is universal, you know, and everybody, you know, has this. And so, yeah, this is right here that what we're doing in this interview, and me sharing these expressions. And of course, I haven't went deeper into the guidance, you know, because, you know, of course, not the time. But that is my deepest passion, because what it does for me is it allows me to be my authenticity. It allows me to be who I am as a savior in the world, as a person who's focused on restoring humanity, and focused on restoring the earth. And so this allows me to vibrate to my state of bliss, my state of being, you know, and just that blissful ecstatic ecstasy state, you know, of mind. And then me being there me being able to be there in myself like that is what I attribute or give all of my success to.
Mm. What is earth and nature to you?
For me, though, yeah, for me personally,
Mm-hmm.
earth and nature is just a reflection of me. Um, because when it comes down to unified field, you know, unified consciousness, for me, and the idea of oneness, you know, all is one. You know, there's no separation, you know, in between me and nature and earth. You know, so nature and earth is me. It's literally me, and we, you know, as yeah, basically, yeah, it's me. There's no separation between me, nature, and earth. Um, and however nature and earth is just a reflection of how I am within myself. And there's a intimate connection, you know, with that field. So yeah, I I believe, you know, definitely, you know, that's why it's so important to take care of, you know, earth and nature, because it's taking care of yourself, you know, and there's just no divide between you and nature and earth, and however you treat, you know, all of life is exactly how you're treating yourself. And it's just the issue with the hatred, you know, and and the selfishness, that we, you know, have, you know, issues within ourselves, you know, and it's reflected everywhere, within consciousness, you know, all around us.
Mm. What are you most fond of in yourself? What do you cherish most in yourself?
I cherish within myself, I cherish the love within myself. I cherish it so much, because it's just the and the reason why I treasure love so much within myself, it's what's allowed me to take care of myself, you know. It's what's allowed me to take care of my family. It's what's allowed me to take care of my community, and you know, the nation that I've traveled through and helping, and then now, you know, also been doing it online, you know, the you know, the rest of the you know, consciousness around the world, you know. So like, growing up, you know, not having the this vibration of love, this love, this intimacy with myself, you know, and this ability to have intimacy with any person, you know, and we're not talking about a marriage type, you know, we're talking about an intimate love that you can feel for people. And that is what I cherish so much for within myself, because like, before, when I couldn't feel that love within myself, you know, being a hateful person, you know, was natural, you know. And so love, you know, that I cherish within myself has healed me from so many different issues in my life, so many different emotional issues, so many different mental issues. My health, because of love within me, my health has been restored. You know, had NDE, and near-death experiences, you know. So there's a lot to my story, and why love would be my choice, why I cherish it so much.
Whoa. Could you go into your near death experience and how you overcame it?
Yes. So I've had many. It was in my younger ages, because of the hatred, you know, because of the division, because of the lack of authenticity, the sovereignty, all these play, you know, not being sovereign and authentic is so detrimental to our health, you know, and to our way of being. But my first ones, well, there's two. I'll do two just to keep it short. So the first one was from growing up in poverty, and not having the money to, or really not even having the awareness of what health was or what eating healthy was. I thought, eating healthy was eating pastas and salads, you know what I mean? And that was gonna make me my healthiest, and then eating the globs load of meat. No, what happened was through my process of my upbringing and then that food I would eat, I became at the age of 16 having real bad chronic heart pain. And I couldn't even breathe at times because it would hurt so bad. Because if I would breathe, it would squeeze harder on my heart. And so I would never go to no medical establishment because I didn't trust, and so the dieting, the food I was eating led me to that point of having these heart pains, having these real bad stomach pains, having these bloody stools. Bloody stools is basically just blood in your poop. Having really bad issues with my mental, my family, because of poor health, they had battled, they battle. I don't anymore because I restored it. And I can explain that experience too, which was with schizophrenia and bipolar and ADHD. All serious issues, but are caused by the hatred in our lives and the poor nutrition. And so with my family dealing with that, I was able to overcome those areas. But what happened though was the food, I would eat, it degenerated me all the way to that point of suicide, so we have all these emotional things, happen. But what I see, what happens really bad for people is they're in this state of depression, and some people go into severe depression, some go to maniac depression. And it's not, it's basically, for me, that's a degeneration of health, and so it leads into the area of suicide that some people might not experience, and I used to mock it, about suicide until I got to that place, where my
I
body
lost your
was,
image, Tommy. I can
sorry.
hear you. I can still hear you. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, my phone does this little weird dialogue box thing. Sorry. But so the degeneration of the food that I was eating, and then the self-hatred, it led to the poor, ability of emotional mental states. And from there, there is, the life force energy that's within all of us is what I know kept me alive, and gave me the natural courage to not go, down that route of degeneration fully, to complete the cycle of what my body was doing, to me because of its poor health. So still trying to understand that fully to explain it better, between the energy field and the body within the, the conflict. But the other experience I had, basically that's it. As those two together, one more actually. Yeah, you're right. So the aspect of suicide from the degeneration, and then the few years later, my body, basically was gone. Some random moment when I was in college in my own kitchen, my body did the little squeeze thing, because I still wasn't taking care of my health yet. Up until 23 years old, I still wasn't eating the healthy foods, because I didn't understand that until later, in my life, but I, my heart for the final time, was squeezed, and it felt like it was pushed in this time, and I fell to the ground. And from that moment, I don't remember how many days I was gone. I really don't. I don't really remember what happened. I don't remember. I don't have no trace of memory in that period of time. But I know that, I was moving again. That's all I remember. I was moving again, and I was breathing again.
So
And
you were alone. You were by yourself,
yeah,
and
I was
this
alone.
was a matter of days. You were unconscious.
Yeah, I don't remember how long though. I don't remember if it was a couple of days, if it was one whole day. Like all that memory is not there for that. I mean, for now, I mean, I've been trying to recall it, and just still and ask, for it to be received, within myself. But yeah, I just, yeah. And then, I just know that I'm awake, and I have, at the time I had an ex-fiance, who had a mother who was very into psychic, abilities. And she knew from her home, that I had a death, basically what she called a death. She said, she picked up that I had died.
And
And so,
what do you think these two experiences um, had provoked and had changed in you in order to to move on and to to get into that lightning moment when you all aligned, and when you knew who you really were and how
yeah,
to go
how,
with your life?
how did this help me out, basically, is what
Mm-hmm.
you're asking? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so the aspects of suicide and the death experience had me realize how how um how I wasn't invincible. I wasn't invincible of doing whatever I wanted to do with my life. I wasn't invincible. To be able to be as careless as I wanted to be. And so it gave me. This is where my awakening happened. Actually, it's 10 years ago. When I was 23. I'm 33 now, and so everything came together when I was 23. Around events. And so it caused me to cry. I cried out, and I wanted to have a changed life. And from there, the I began to just seek out, uh, different religions, and find out, what to do. 'Cause I had people around me that were religious, and I just course of action. But this these experience basically just showed me I could not be careless and irresponsible, and that I really cared about my life. I cared about my life, and I wanted um, to not waste it. I didn't want to waste my life. I didn't want to, um, you know, just be suicidal. I didn't want to be depressed. I didn't want to be unhealthy. I didn't. And I didn't, so this basically, it really triggered me to really take it seriously, take my life seriously,
Mm-hmm.
and take my self-worth seriously. And as I began at the beginning of this process, it was a lot of crying, and it had been a lot of crying through many years. Was that the love that I did not know how to show myself? I was always crying for, and the energy, the field of consciousness was always answering, and responding to my want, my desire, and this is how it works. The universe just responds to our wants and our desires, and so that was
So,
my
what is your most vibrant desire for the future, Tommy?
most vibrant desire of the future. Um, it would be to see. It would be to be. It would be to. It would be to be the leader. It would basically to see myself as one of the collective leaders that have witnessed and support the manifestation of a supernatural, regenerated, just sovereign world, you know, all across, you know, all the nations, people just collectively awakened and just empowered in their ability to be supernatural, which would become a norm. And to see miracles as far as working with energy, to be so rapid and instantaneous and not so delayed and slow because of our lower vibrations, you know. So my most desire is to be part of the leadership, to see the supernatural civilization across the whole globe be implemented.
It's beautiful because it's a collective desire. It's not an individualistic one.
Right.
Thank you
And it's
so much.
not
Thank you.
possible to be individualistic.
when you when you start a movement of collaboration, you are the leader and the model. I thank you so much for being a guest today in this interview, for being open and for sharing with us all that you care about with passion. And as the finish of our interview today, I ask you, Tommy, to complete the phrase "I am" with a single word.
I am. Immortal.
This is a beginning of a new interview, speaking about longevity and about your your advice for charging and adjusting our energy level through the day. I had thought about diving in this area also, but our time is up today. Thank you so much. It was a real pleasure to have you as a guest in this interview. I'm very glad that you accepted, and it was such a beautiful conversation. Thank you, Tommy. And for our listeners, please take as much as you can from this interview, apply it, integrate with what you are, and click on the link and donate a small amount of money for the hospitals in Romania which are in need. Thank you all. Bye bye, Tommy. Keep in touch.
Well, I'll keep in touch, definitely. Thank you so much for your service.
Thank you.